Yes, ma'am. All right, what's going on, everybody in the world of YouTube? It is Jori, O'Neal, and Nicole Salter, 30 Minutes of Power podcast. Welcome back, people. It's been a while,
Welcome, welcome.
but here we are together again at last. So
Yes.
super excited. What's new? What's new in the world? What's new in your universe, Nicole?
Oh, there's a lot new in the world. Zillow is working in my favor. I have about 5 deals right now. And so every morning I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I miss? What did I forget? What's going on today? What is happening? And I go to my office and I look at my board and I'm like, wow. Like this is the life. This is it. This is what's happening. And then everything is like falling in line with PTA. I mean, it just seems like, I think the last time we spoke about not limiting God to only taking care of the big things, right? And I was like, I used to struggle with saying, God, I need help with making a schedule because I felt like that was too small for me to go to him with. But girl, let me tell you, God has shown me that it is not too small. And if I ask, he will help. And so earlier today you said, what did you do today? How was your day? And I said I was productive. And you were like, why you sound so surprised? It's something new for me. Like
Mm,
being productive on a consistent basis is it's just new.
it's that new.
It's new and it's exciting and it is hard, don't get me wrong. It's a task to make sure that I am holding myself accountable and I am keeping up with the different things that I have to do, right? But listen, prayer works because God helps me get through it one step at a time. And then when 3:30 hits and I'm like, oh, I gotta go pick up the kids. Oh, but you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. You can go. You can pick up the kids. So prayer works. That's all I can say to that is prayer works.
So what I hear you saying is that you've grown in your productivity since the last time we've spoken. So now we gonna have to do a little deep dive and a little coaching session, figure out like what was the shift, what was the change, what but before we get there, I gotta show you my cup. Look at my cup.
Oh, that's
Wait for
nice.
it, wait for it. Ow.
This is what a best-selling author looks like. Oh, I love it.
A friend of mine surprised me with it when I came back from Texas. It was waiting on my porch.
That is super nice.
Yeah.
Now we gotta
Yeah.
get you a t-shirt. Now we gotta get you a t-shirt. It's gonna have the words, it's gonna have your name on the front. And this is what a best-selling author looks like on the back.
That's exactly what it needs to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to show you my mug real quick. That's it. But what is what is it? Like what is it that has created this shift in you from feeling frazzled and overwhelmed and pulled in all the multiple directions and um maybe even like you were reaching and being pulled versus now it seems like you're settled and you feel called and led to go to these places. So I wanna get into it with the pull versus the call, right? So we just making up titles now, people. The pull versus the call. Um, what
I
what was that shift for you?
I think one major shift was one realizing that there's nothing too big or too small for God, right? And so once that prayer was said, and it was a simple prayer that I did that was just like, Lord, this is what I'm struggling with. I'm struggling with organization. I'm struggling with schedules. I'm struggling with holding myself accountable to certain things. And I need help. Right. So that was the first hurdle to get over, realizing that I do need help. I am not perfect. And I am one that can continue to learn, right? So that was the first thing, getting over that hump. And then the second thing was allowing God to help in different ways. Like, don't get me wrong, I love helping people, I love assisting, but there are some things where I had to say no. And that was another hurdle because I mean, anything you ask, normally I'm like, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll take care of it. And one day God said, there's a two-letter word that I need you to use a little more often. You don't have to use it all the time, but I need you to use it a little more often. And that two-letter word is no. And so I had to tell some people no. I'm sorry. I cannot do this for you. I cannot do that for you. I cannot help you this day. Even with real estate, there were people that are like, hey, we want to see this house. No, we're not purchasing until next year, but we want to see this house and it's an hour and a half away. And I had to say, no, you're not ready. Why are we going to see this house to set you up for failure? You can't buy it. So why you want to see it? You know, like you don't have the money. You know you can't sell your house right now. You Why are we even wasting that time? Like it's an hour and a half drive. Now listen, if you want to see a house in my community, even if you don't have the money, we'll go see it. That's no problem. It's 5 minutes away. When you talking about driving 70, 80 miles away from my house, that's an hour and a half there and out. That's 3 hours of driving out. No, no. So I had to learn how to say no. And because I am not trying to please every and anybody, that has helped me to get the things that are most important under control. I have also learned to pick and choose the days that I am going to be out the house and the days that I'm going to stay in the house. So before, every day I would be out doing this, doing that, going here, going there. Now I know that Tuesday mornings and Wednesday mornings are mornings where I have meetings. Those are my meeting days. We're not going out. We're not going out at all. We're staying home all day long to make sure that all of my paperwork is done on those 2 days. Right. So just reconfiguring different things and learning how to schedule myself and say no, I cannot take on too much because then other things will lack has helped me to be more productive.
So for those who are listening, all these things were things that Nicole and I have been discussing for quite some time. Seems that my face is frozen. I'm probably just meditating on how excited I am that Nicole is actually putting things into practice that we had spoken about. But one of the things that she said, and I can go through the three things that it seems like she's done in an effort to become more productive. One, she eliminated. She eliminated certain things from her schedule. She eliminated extra stuff from her schedule, right? Two, she started batching her days, not even just her task, but her days. I'm not leaving today because today is a meeting day. So whatever I need to do that requires me to stay in the house will all get done on this day. So she started batching her days. And the last thing that she did was that she started creating time for her. A lot of people think that self-care is selfish. That's the exact opposite of what if you don't take care of you, you're going to be burnt out, frazzled, and overwhelmed and not able to take care of anyone else. So I'm super excited about all of those things. I think your question initially before we started was how have things been since the last episode that we did collectively on Preach What You Practice.
Yes.
And I think for me, I am coming into a space in my life where God is, I feel, leading me to practice at a higher level, to preach at a higher level and to practice at a higher level. And both of those levels are going to require me to shift some things, to shift some titles that I have, to shift some identities that I've taken on. Um, but at the end of the day, I have to shift. And so in practicing what I'm preaching, the Lord is opening up a lot of doors for me right now, and it is scary. Like I'm being sincere. This weekend was it was amazing and it was terrifying all at the same time. Like the idea that I left New York, went to Texas, and spent not $1 because I was taking care of that well. That there were drivers to take me here and there, that my hotel accommodations were paid for, that all of my meals were paid for. Like I've never went I've been to like one of those, you go to like out of the country, you have those all inclusive, right? Ah, da, 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 da. But this was Texas. There's no all inclusive in
Right.
Texas,
Right.
but God. And so being as my grandfather would say, being in cahoots with other Christians who operate at a high level, that's what I experienced. I experienced being taken care of in a way that I'd never experienced it before. And when I asked Ron, I said, how do you feel? And he's like, I feel humbled.
Wow.
And I was like, that's an interesting word. Tell me more about that. And he's like, I've never felt this taken care of. Like we didn't have to do anything. We just had to show up and be ourselves, and that was enough. And I think I had made a post about it that I experienced a sliver of heaven this side of earth. And that post wasn't because of, our book sales. It wasn't because of getting, being a best-selling author. It was because I finally, I think, experienced the freedom of legit just showing up.
Right.
Like, what happens when you show up without expectation? On me, like no one had any expectations of me. I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to maneuver. I didn't have to master. I just had to show up as my authentic self, and that was enough. And I find it ironic that the book is called More Than Enough, um, because listening to every woman's story, especially those authors who were able to come this past weekend, I think we all are still struggling with feeling enough. I don't think the struggle ever goes away, but the cool thing is that Christ came so that we could be enough just as we are in our authentic selves. We can show up and be enough because of God. Um, and so in preaching what I'm
Um, I think Jori has gone away. Maybe her computer went off and it's coming back on. So hmm, it's definitely important to make sure that you don't limit God. Make sure that you are praying about any and everything that you need help with. It is super important. Um, it's interesting that Jory was talking about being enough because I think when you have that feeling of you not being enough, it keeps you humble. It keeps you humble. But when you get to that point where you feel like you've made it, you've done it, you've got it all, that's when a lot of things start to tap in to you. And that's when you get real independent, right? And you're not reliant on God anymore. And because you're not reliant on God anymore, things begin to happen because you're not trusting in him and you're trying to control everything on your own. So it's important to make sure that you are staying humble and that you are staying true to God and who he is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened to Jory. Feel like I'm talking to myself here. She didn't text me. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Oh, Zoom crashed. Zoom crashed. Am I even on YouTube? Let's go to YouTube and find out. Let's see if I can find myself here on YouTube because I'm just a yapping. I have no idea what's happening right now. Maybe I'm not even on. I don't know. I am live on YouTube. Okay, so seems like I was live for a long time. I did not even know what was happening, but I thank you all for watching. I don't think Jory is coming back. Um, we will definitely have to edit this video. I appreciate you all. Until next time, Nicole Salter, Jory O'Neill, be an empowered woman and use your powers to empower others. We love you. We thank you. We appreciate